Michael Burry is back in the headlines with what people are calling the Big Short 2.0, as he's just made a huge bet on another stock market crash. And in true Michael Burry style, it goes against consensus, against popular opinion, and it's to the tune of $1.5 billion. And so in this video, we're going to be covering everything you need to know about what Michael Burry has been up to, including, firstly, why this isn't what it may initially first seem, as he isn't just short, he's also long. Then we'll look at the number one buy and the number one sell Michael Burry has made. Then we'll take a look at the predictions that Michael Burry has made and how they have turned out so far. And then we'll finish with what his full portfolio looks like right now, and also some insider insights into what he may be looking at, which others have missed. Okay, so first up, Michael Burry shot to fame after betting against the housing market in 2008 and making him millions of dollars along the way. And so, lots to cover. Feel free to use the timestamps below. And why is Michael Burry back in the headlines? Okay, so what has put Michael Burry back in the headlines this week are these two positions here, what people are calling his Big Short 2.0, as these are put options against the US stock market. So SPY is the S&P 500 and QQQ is the NASDAQ 100. And put options, essentially, you will make money, and a lot of money, if the market goes down, but you stand to lose your money if the market continues to go higher. So very high risk betting against US stocks. However, if you time it right, it can be very lucrative. And the biggest position are these put options against the S&P 500. This one is to the tune of $886 million, and the one against the NASDAQ, $738 million. And so you can see the size. His next biggest position is 10,9,876. So you can see these two are by far the biggest. Now, what we have to remember, when we get this data, it is 6 weeks after it has happened. So we can actually see how this big short is going so far. So if we take a look at the S&P 500 over the past year, now this data is from Q2. So Q1 being January, February, March. So it's the end of March, beginning of April, so about here. And remember, he needs the US stock market to be going down. And what has happened so far? The US stock market has been going up. And this has caught a lot of people by surprise, because everyone's saying we have a recession coming, we have an inverted yield curve, we have the Fed sucking money out of the system, yet stocks have been ripping. And since then, up almost 12%. So this is terrible for Michael Burry. However, important to note that recently the market has been rolling over and going down. So currently down 3%. And the big question is this the big crash that Burry is predicting? Now, the next big thing to note, which most people have missed in the headlines, is that Michael Burry is not just shorting US stocks. He's also taken out a number of long positions. And so this is a philosophy that I like myself. It's where you can win in either direction. So in fact, he's taken out loads of positions where if US stocks have been going up, then he's making money. And as you can see, there's been a significant amount of regular buying, as well as reducing some positions and completely selling out a whole bunch more. So of his long positions, obviously we're not going to spend the next 2 hours going through everything, so let's just look at the number one biggest buy and the number one biggest sell. So, out of all the new buys that Michael Burry has done, the number one biggest one that he saw as an opportunity was Expedia Group. And Expedia are a well-known American travel company. And let's see if Michael Burry has made or lost money. Well, if we look and remember, it's Q2 that we want to be looking at, so the beginning of April. So it had dropped down. This is the earliest he could have bought, and since then it has been going up. In fact, to the tune of almost 30%. So depending when he bought, if it's around this region, then it's a good winner. However, he's likely making good money on his biggest position. So this is a thumbs up, well done, good spot for Michael Burry. And his biggest sell, and he did do quite a lot of selling, is JD.com. And in fact, if you look at number 2, Alibaba, his biggest sells are exiting his Chinese positions. Let's just take a quick look at JD.com. Has he made or lost money? Going on to Q2, so the earliest he would have been buying is here, and it has been a downward trend. So if he sold straight away, then he has avoided up to a 25% drop. However, if he did buy later into the quarter, then he's likely flat, as since the correction, it has been going sideways. However, recently, China has been in the news as their economy has been struggling, so maybe he's got out at just the right time. And so this is what Michael Burry's portfolio looks like. And this is what most people won't be talking about, the fact that he's actually taken out lots of long positions in the market. So he's got 31 positions, and it's to the tune of over $100 million. As mentioned, with Expedia being the number one. However, what's interesting is when we add in these big short positions, this is now what his portfolio looks like. And everything you just saw is now just these positions here. So you can see just how big the exposure is of these two big positions, shorting the S&P and shorting the NASDAQ. And now the value goes to a huge $1.7 billion. However, because these are put options, he's not going to lose the full $1.5 billion, only a very, very small portion of that. So I'm sure Michael Burry has done his numbers. But if the stock market goes up, then he can win. And if the stock market crashes, then he's going to have a very big win. So very interesting moves coming from Mr. Burry. Now, is this the information that Michael Burry may have been looking at? And the next couple of charts are great charts from Ben of Into the Cryptoverse, and this is the S&P 500, and it's comparing it against the previous pre-election year. So this is 4 years ago, 2019, and at this point what it's showing is that there was a drop in the S&P. So if history repeats, this is the time when the S&P corrects. However, if you add in another couple of pre-election years, you get this. So this is 2011 and 2015. And in these pre-election years, the S&P was much lower at this point. This would suggest that the S&P 500 right now is a lot higher than historically it should be. In fact, not only should it be lower, around this time there also is a bit of a small crash or correction. So this just highlights that this recent run in stocks, when you account for everything going on in the economy, is a bit of an anomaly, and it really shouldn't be close to setting new highs. So it's data like this that Michael Burry could be looking at, which says to him, there should be a noticeable significant drop in the S&P, which means the NASDAQ would fall even harder. And finally, we'll just do a very quick look at the predictions made by Michael Burry so far. So this being the S&P and what it's done since 2015. And these were the big predictions that Michael Burry has made that you've seen come out all over Twitter over the past few years. Now, after I looked at this data, I actually came to the conclusion you can read this in both ways, and it will depend on your personal bias against Michael Burry. If you think that Michael Burry is a legend, then you can make a case that these have all been pretty good predictions. If you think Michael Burry just makes way too many predictions and he's actually predicted 10 of the last 2 stock market crashes, then you could make the case for that. For example, he says a crash is coming here, and to be fair, there was a big drop. If you're with Michael Burry, you'll say this was a win. If you're against him, you'll say, well, it's not much of a crash, is it? It's more like a correction. Here, predicting a big global financial meltdown. What did it do? You could say it went on an absolute tear and Michael Burry was wrong. Or you could say, well, it was only a matter of time until we did get these big drops. Obviously, he's not going to be able to predict it on the day. Again, you could argue both ways. And it's pretty much the same for all of them. A big warning here. Obviously, there was a massive crash, but nobody could have predicted COVID. Here, revealing a massive bearish bet. And then what happened? One of the biggest rallies in history. But then remember, the data is always 6 weeks old, so his bearish bet could have been made beforehand, in which case, spot on. Again, bubble crash, big prediction here. Now you could say he's completely wrong as the stock market went on a tear, or you could say he was predicting what has happened in so far this year, and there was a significant crash. So as you can see, Michael Burry remains very controversial. Some people saying he's an expert, some people saying he's wrong every single time, and I'll let you make up your own mind. So in true Michael Burry style, Burry's taken out a huge short position against the US stock market to the tune of $1.5 billion. However, do not overlook the fact that he's also hedging his risk by taking out $100 million worth of long positions. His number one buy for the quarter was travel company Expedia, and his number one sells were exiting his China positions with JD and Alibaba. Now, from what I can see, it's currently a losing position for his Big Short 2.0 as the S&P has nearly gone on to set new highs. However, just recently, things have begun to roll over. So are we on the verge of this next big crash that Burry is predicting? Well, we will all find out over the coming weeks. So there you are, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Now, very interested to know, what do you think about Michael Burry's positions? Is he a legend or a broken clock? As even a broken clock is right twice a day. But just remember to get rid of 100% of the comment spam and trading bots that plague YouTube comments. We're trying out the new SuperThanks commenting system. So to make sure to get your question or comment read and replied to, if you have a request or just want to say thanks, then use SuperThanks below. And for now, just to say, if you did enjoy anything in the video, then drop a like, and a big thank you to everyone who does, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.